Hi, and thanks for joining me to learn all about the Bernina 325 sewing machine. Now, the aim of this video is for you to gain a better understanding of how easy this machine is to use and give you the confidence of whether it's the right machine for you. I'm going to talk you through all its features and functions. I'll show you everything that comes in the box. We'll do some sewing, I'll show you how to thread it, show you its capabilities, and then I'll talk to you a bit about the warranty and support that you get with this machine. Now, I'm Anna and I work here at the Sewing Studio, and if you don't know about us, we're an online shop as well as a physical shop based down in the southwest. We're all sewers and we love our sewing machines and get to know them inside and out so that we can help you for anything that you might need. And don't forget, if you like what you're seeing in this video, subscribe to our channel and press on the bell to be notified when we upload a new video. It could be another one like this on a different model of machine or one of our great tutorials. So let's dive into the features. So it's a nice compact machine and you've got 6 inches of space to the right of the needle. It comes with over 150 different stitch options, so all your utility or practical stitches, some decorative ones in there, quilting, and a couple of different styles of buttonholes as well. And those are a manual buttonhole on here, but they're very easy to do, and I'll show you that when we get to the sewing section. And those stitches are all neatly tucked away and selected on this nice big colour touch screen. It's very intuitive to use and makes life super easy for us. You have the ability to change the width and the length of those stitches, and the maximum width you can achieve is 5.5 millimeters and the maximum length is 5 millimeters. And those are easily adjusted with these buttons here. You've also got buttons in the middle here that alters your needle position, and they're quite small increments so you can get nice and close when you're sewing zips or doing piping. It's a computerized machine, so that means you have the option of how you operate it. It comes with a foot pedal, but you don't have to use that. It has a start-stop button just here, but that also means it has speed control. So you can alter it between slow, medium and high so that you're consistently getting the best results regardless of what project you're working on. Now, a few other features on here as well. You've got your reverse button, you've got a locking stitch or a tie-off, you've got pattern end and a needle up, needle down, and that can be programmed for when you stop sewing for the needle to stay down or come up, whichever you prefer. Now, whilst I'm on the needle, it does have a semi-automatic needle threader, which is very easy to use. Again, I'll show you that when we get to the sewing section. The presser foot, it has an extra high lift on there, so you can get bulky items in underneath, and it's nice and smooth to put down. Now, you also have the ability to change the pressure with this dial here that's applied to the presser foot. So if you're sewing with something quite delicate or quite slippy, you can slacken that pressure off and then the fabric won't get chewed in the teeth underneath there. And the feed teeth themselves can be dropped. It's just a simple switch on the front here to do any kind of free motion or darning work. Now, the bobbin is Bernina's traditional CB hook. That's what gives them the legendary stitch quality. So you just pop the cover down at the front, nice and easy to load. And again, I'll show you how to do all that when we get to the sewing section. Here you have a nice slim free arm, and it also comes with an extension table that you can just pop on to give you extra working space, but also support when you're working with bigger, heavier projects. Now, the machine is, as I say, very easy to use, but it also has some features on there that help you to do your sewing and also get the most out of the machine. So, as I say, there's over 150 stitches, and if you're not sure what some of those are used for, then there's what I call the magic question mark here. So you can press the question mark, select a stitch, and it's going to tell you exactly what the stitch is and what it's used for. Within the home screen here, you've also got some sewing tutorials. So on screen, you can quite easily find how to thread the machine, how to load the bobbin, how to do a buttonhole, simple techniques like that. And then there's also a sewing consultant. So that's different principles like inserting a zip, sewing with denim, things like that, that advises you on how to set the machine up, the right needle to use, the right tension to be on, to help you get the good quality sewing results, but also get the best out of the machine. So what comes in the box? Well, obviously you'll have the machine, and this extension table, which I've already put on. And then there's a few different presser feet. So these are a snap-on system. So this is the reverse pattern sole that will already be on the machine. And then you have an adjustable blind stitch foot, one for sewing zips or piping, the buttonhole foot, and an overlocking foot. There's also this range of accessories, and they all store nice and neatly in this little pouch. And then you have your foot control, a power lead, a nice soft dust cover, as well as a quick start guide, and in there you'll find a QR code to download the full manual, as well as a catalogue of Bernina accessories. So let's now get the machine threaded. I'll show you how to do that and how easy it is, and we'll do some sewing. To thread the machine, you just want to grab your thread spool and a spool cap, and then pop it. I'm going to pop it on the horizontal pin, but you can also use the extra spool pin that's in there. Use that one if you wanted to do any twin needle work. So I'm just going to pop the spool cap on and grab the end of my thread. Now everything is numbered for you. So you've got number 1 down the back there, number 2 through the tension discs, around the bottom there, number 3, and then back and forth into the take-up lever. I like to hold both ends and give it a tug to make sure it is firmly in there. Number 5 is this guide here, and number 6 is the last guide just above the needle. Now the needle threader, you need to make sure the needle's in the right position, and we can do that with the needle up, needle down button. So you press that one and the needle goes down, press it again and the needle comes up, and you then know that it's in the right position for the needle threader. So it's this device here that you just want to bring it down. I usually bring it down a little way because you've got to get the thread around that post there, and then come down all as far as you can. So that's not good enough, that's not good enough, you need to be right down there. And then you put the thread in between the gap there, and then release the pressure on your left hand, let go of the thread with your right hand, let it come back up, and then you've got your loop in the back there, and the eye of the needle is threaded. For the bobbin, just drop the door down, lift the lever up, take the bobbin case out, and then you want to have your bobbin with the tail of thread coming off to the right. Drop that in the bobbin case, and then you're going up through that slit and under the tension plate there. And then you want to line this piece up with the gap that's in the top there. Just pop that in and to push till you hear it click. So like that, and then that's that loaded. You can cut the thread off on the little cutter there, and close the door, and you can just start sewing. There's no need to draw up your bobbin thread. And if you ever need a reminder of how to thread the machine, it's right at your fingertips. So you want to go to the home screen, which is this button here with the house symbol, and then you've got tutorials here. Threading, and then you've got guides on here. So threading the upper thread talks you through what to do, gives you diagrams of how to do it there. So it's all there for when you need it. So I'm going to go back into the sewing, and this is the main sewing screen. So all your stitches are here, and they're separated out into these different folders for you. Whoops. So you've got all your all your utility stitches in the folder at the top, then onto your decorative options, your fonts, buttonholes, quilting, and then you've got favourite stitches in here, so you can save stitches to the machine. Say, for instance, there's a blanket stitch or something that you set to a particular width and length, you can then save it rather than having to memorise those adjustments if you want to use it again. So you can get a bigger representation of all the stitches if you press this arrow here, and then you can scroll through them. Now, what I was saying earlier about my magic question mark was if you're not sure what a stitch is used for, so this is a funny looking stitch, you can press your question mark, press on the stitch, it's going to tell you what it is. So it's a large fly stitch, and then it tells you what it's used for. So it's reinforcing pocket openings, zippers and slits in medium to heavyweight fabrics. And that button is used on all the stitches throughout the machine. I mean, obviously when you get onto the decorative ones, it doesn't have a purpose. It's just a decorative, and it tells you it's a decorative stitch for embellishing and finishing with decorative expects effects. But it's really useful on the practical stitches and on your buttonholes as well. If you're not sure what particular buttonhole is right for which fabric, it's going to tell you right there. Okay, let's go back to the straight stitch, and I'll just minimize that again. On this side of the screen, you've got a representation of the stitch that you've chosen. So if I switch to a zigzag, you can see it's moved to a zigzag there. And then here is where you've got your stitch width and your stitch length. Now what's really clever is as you're adjusting these, so if I adjust the width now and increase that, it's giving you a representation on the screen of what your stitch is going to look like. So if I reduce that, whoops, no stitch width is a bit much. So you can see with a wider stitch and a narrower stitch length, I've got like a satin stitch there now for doing appliques and things and stuff. If you want to go back to what that stitch was originally, you can just press clear and it will take you straight back to the original stitch. So I've got 2 pieces of cotton, and I'm just going to show you the quality of the straight stitch, but also the speed setting. So I'm not using the foot pedal, I'm on the start stop button. So I'm just going to press go. To reverse, I just keep my finger on the button for as far back as I want to go, let go and we'll come forward again. Now that's on the slow speed. Go up to midway and then on full speed. And stop. I went a bit wonky there, but that's fine. So, and there's your nice, neat, straight stitch. That's on the top and that's underneath. Now there is a second option, a second way of securing your stitches rather than using the reverse, and that's with the locking stitch or tie off. I'm just going to reduce my speed down a bit. So what you would do is pop your fabric in, obviously drop your presser foot, and then you're going to press the locking stitch button first and then start sewing. And when you're coming to the end, you then press that one. And what it's done now is done 3 stitches at the beginning and the end. And that's secured the ends of your stitches. And it's just nicer than having the bulk of reversing, or like I did there where you miss going over it. If you're doing something quite decorative or top stitching, it just helps to keep everything nice and neat. And underneath, these ends are just tied off for you. Let's take a look at the manual buttonhole. So first I'm going to go down to the buttonhole folder and choose my buttonhole. So I'm working with cotton. So I'm just going to choose the standard one here. And the foot has changed to number 3. So it's telling me to use foot number 3, which comes with the machine, and that is the buttonhole foot. So these snap on and off. So I'm just going to push this lever here to drop that presser foot off. And then I'm just going to line this bar up here with the groove underneath there, drop that on top, lift it back up, and then that's that foot on. Next, I'm going to put a mark on my fabric of where I want the buttonhole to sew. So I'm just using my button as a guide for the size. So about that length. I mean, you can obviously measure it as well to get it accurate. And then I'm just going to put a line there for the bar tacks that end and a line for the bar tacks that end. Okay. So there's 7 steps to this buttonhole, which sounds like a lot, but it's very easy to program. And this flashing here is the reverse button. So you're going to use the start, stop, or the foot pedal, and a combination of that and the reverse pedal to program your 7 steps, basically. The reverse pedal, I just realized I said that, the reverse button. So the first thing it's going to do is sew this side down here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to line up my back piece in the window of the foot there so that it can come down this way. And then I'm going to watch it sewing. I keep the speed quite low because I'm actually physically stopping it. So once I see this come into my window, I'll stop the machine sewing. So let's go for it. Might just go a little bit faster. can just see my bottom line in the window there, so I've just stopped the machine. I'm now going to press the reverse button to tell it to go back up the other side. And again, I'm going to watch for where it meets my starting point and stop the machine. There, so it's travelled back up the other side. I've stopped it where I now want it to do the bar tacks. So I'm going to press the reverse again, and you can see now it's going to do the bar tacks. So I press go. Okay, and I want it to come back down this side. So I'm going to press reverse, and you can see that side has gone blue. So now I'm going to sew down here and stop it when I get to my starting point. Okay, I'm going to press reverse again to now tell it to do my bar tacks at the front. And then the last one, I'm going to press it again and it's going to secure the thread for me. Lovely. So I take that out and there's your nice neat buttonhole. That's on the top and that's underneath. Now you can also set that to record as well. So in your information, you've got this recording one here. So you could program that in if you had like 10 buttonholes to do, you're only programming once and then you can carry on and sew the rest of them at the same size. Now this machine does also have the technology in here to sew an automatic one-step buttonhole, but you do need to purchase the optional one-step buttonhole foot, which is the 3A. It looks like this. It is an easier way of doing it, a quicker way of doing it, but again, you need to purchase that foot separately. Okay. So before I move on to a couple of different types of fabric, I'm just going to pop the standard foot back on and quickly show you the fonts and how to program a sequence of letters. So I'm just going to come out of that and go into my fonts. And I'm just going to choose a standard font. So if I do the word Bernina, or type out the word Bernina, if I just press B, it's just going to sew out a row of Bs, which is not what we want. So we want to program a combination of stitches, which you can do using this plus symbol. So if I press that one, and now I press the B, we've got one letter B, and it's waiting for the next ones. It's a bit clearer to see if you expand this, because then you're entering them in along the top here. So I've got my capital B. I'm going to move on to a lowercase and we'll carry on typing the word A. If you want to go back through and check your spelling, you can do it with these arrows here. So B-E-R-N-I-N-A, lovely. There's also numbers in here if you wanted them, and then in here you've got different symbols. So I'm just going to reduce that again, and one thing you need to watch is when you're checking your spelling. So if I expand that again, I've checked my spelling and I've now finished on letter A. So if you go back to here, it wants to start the pattern from letter A because that's where we ended it. So if you press this one here, it's just going to go back to the beginning of the pattern. And then I can pop my fabric underneath and then start sewing the word. Now I was following that on screen, and when it got to the letter A, I pressed this pattern end button, and that means it stops on the letter A. If I hadn't have done that, it would have gone back to the beginning and carried on and typed the word, sewn out the word Bernina over and over again until I told it otherwise. So there's the word Bernina. It's nice and legible for a stitch font, and these stitches that join them in between, you can just nick them off. Each letter is secured so nothing's going to unravel. and then that's the underside, so it's nice and neat. And just quickly, let's come out of combo mode a minute. When you go into the decorative stitches, let's just choose, so I choose these tulips here. In the information screen, you've got the ability to change the direction of those stitches. So if I go in here and choose that one, you can see they've then changed in the opposite direction. You can go flip it that way as well. This is quite symmetrical that way, so it doesn't make much difference, but you have options there for how you want to tailor it and what you want to do. And being able to turn the stitch is really useful, so that if you're working on a big project, but you want your stitch to stay in the same direction all the way around, you can move the direction of the stitch, and then you don't have to work with the bulk of your fabric in here. Your bulk of your fabric can be over here, but your stitch is the same direction. Hopefully that makes sense. I know what I mean. Okay, let's move on to a couple of different types of fabric now. So first, I've got some jersey here. Now, if you know how to sew with jersey, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to do anything else. But if you're not sure which is the best stitch to choose or how to set the machine up to sew a stretchy fabric, that's where the sewing consultant can come in handy. So if you go to the home screen and go to the consultant, and then you choose the type of fabric that you're working with. So this is quite a lightweight knit. So I'm going to choose lightweight knit. And then I've got different principles here. So whether I want to do a seam, whether I want to finish an edge, whether I want to insert a zip, do a buttonhole, etc. I'm going to just do a straight seam. So press that one. So it's telling me to use a size 70 HS needle, which is a jersey needle. So I'm just going to take out the universal one I had in and pop in a jersey needle. And these are just standard needles with the flat piece, and the flat piece always goes to the back. You just want to pop it in as far up as it can possibly go, and then tighten the screw. Opportunity to show you the needle threader again here. So come part way down, around the post, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, in that slit, and then let go, and there's your loop. I'll pop that in. So that's my needle. It says to use a polyester thread. I've got a cotton, that's perfectly acceptable. Tension needs to be on 4, which it is. Stitch number 11 and foot number 1, which I've got on there. So if I press OK now, it's automatically changed over to stitch number 11 for me. If it needed to alter the length and the width of the stitch to get the optimum results, it would have automatically done that as well. So I'm just going to pop my fabric underneath the foot and sew my seam. Take that out, cut them off. And you can see how that's done a nice neat job of that. That's on the top, that's underneath, and you can stretch the seam with the stitch. So on the thickest side of fabrics now, we can use the same principle if you like. So I'll go back to the consultant, and this time I'll choose denim. I want to sew a seam on a denim. So I need to use a 90 HJ, which is a jeans needle. So I'll take out the jersey, get my jeans needle, pop that in, down, around, down, in, up. Oh look, went too quick then. That's what can happen. Concentrate, there you go. In and around and under. Polyester, you would with denim because it's stronger, but I'm going to keep the cotton for what I'm doing here for you. Tension on 4, which it is. Stitch number 1, and it's suggesting foot number 8, which is an optional extra. It's a jeans foot that Bernina do, but we're absolutely fine with the standard straight stitch. So this time I press OK, that's what I want to set. So it's gone back to the straight stitch for me. But because I'm using denim, I've told it I'm using denim, it's a thicker fabric, it's increased the stitch length for me. So I'm just going to pop that underneath and sew my seam. There we go, it's done a nice neat job of that. no skip stitches, that's underneath, and the seam is as secure as you want it to be. So that's sewing through 2 layers. This is a 10-ounce denim. I'm going to double it over, so we'll go through 4 layers now. Just move that out of the way. Oops. There you go, that's this line here. Again, nothing skipped. It's gone all the way through, done a neat job. And we're still really secure, right on where we reversed. So let's double it over again, and we'll go through 8 layers. Now this time I am going to increase the stitch length again just slightly, just 0.5 millimetre to 4. And I'm going to use the extra lift, slide that in underneath. And you can see how fantastic the feed is on this machine, because, you know, that's 8 layers of denim there, and I'm not having to kind of feed it through with my hands or pull it through. It just naturally takes it, and you're kind of just steering from the front. And there you go, 8 layers, no problem at all. That's the underside of that one. So again, every stitch is formed, there's nothing skipped, and the seam is still really secure. This machine comes with 7-year warranty, and in the box you'll find this certificate in there for you to fill out, send off to Bernina to register your machine, and it also gives you details about the warranty in there. And don't forget that we're here at the sewing studio as well for any help, support or advice that you might need with your new machine. So I hope you feel better informed about the Bernina 325. And if you've decided that it's the right machine for you, head on to our website and grab yours now. It's very easy to use and delivery is fast. It's also free. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.